Hey everyone, I'm Logan Taylor. Welcome to the Q&A for the film UNDERGODS, the world premiere of UNDERGODS. I'm very happy to be joined today by director Chino Moya, as well as a huge selection of the cast. We have Kate Dickie here, we have Ned Dennehy, we have Johann Bijvoet, we have Adrian Rawlins, we have Geza Rohrig, we have Eric Godon, and we also have producer Sophie Venner. Thank you all so much for being here.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So audience members should know that they can write any questions they have in the Q&A window, and I will read them out loud as time permits. But I'll go ahead and start with my first question. So, you know, I think audiences might have noticed this, and I think it's something we should just talk about right away, the fact that this film does have a lot of white male faces in it. And in a lot of cases, I would consider that something to be concerned about. But as I understand it, this is definitely intentional and kind of a major theme that you were touching on and something you were trying to say with the film. Chino, can you kind of speak to that?
Yeah, well, there was one of the central things about the film was an idea of the failed utopias and failed societies, and in a way, and sort of crumbling masculinity, and especially kind of, and those idea of the decline of the white male and the decline of these societies, utopias, and models of societies that the white male has created, and they are ultimately sort of falling apart. And so that was definitely one of the major themes. It's true that when we started with this project, there was not as much talk about that subject as it is now. It was not as a relevant subject, and as we kept on progressing with the financings, with writing the script, sadly the topic became more and more relevant as the political events in the US and in Europe unfolded. Sadly, there was more and more conversations about the idea of the white male, and then it became more relevant, and I guess it's becoming more of a topic every year. And let's see what happens in the elections in November, and there'll be more about it. Yeah. Oh, hi, Sam.
Hey, Sam.
Hello.
Yeah, Sam, welcome.
Hey, how are you doing? I'm a little bit dinosaur.
You made it. That's what counts. We're glad you're here.
Hi, Sam. Sam.
I sit on my private toilet.
Open the Zoom.
While we're on the topic of the kind of while we're talking about kind of the complex characters, I guess, right? Do some of the cast members want to talk about what drew you to this project? I mean, a lot of the characters are really unlikable, right? What was it that made you interested in this role? This is for everyone.
Well, for everybody, when you get to read the script, and everybody's going to say the same thing, as soon as you read the script, you go, it doesn't matter about the character or what part I'm getting. If I get a part of this, you just want to be a part. This is something special, all right? This is already special on the page, on the paper. So you're just going, you know, it'd just be great to be, you know, because you read so much rubbish, and then when you get something special, you go, if you could be part of something special, and then to be a part of something special on whatever level or whatever part you get, because there's a spectrum of parts. You know, I think I could have played Kate's part, but or anybody.
You played yours.
There's a similarity across the board here, because you know, all of us, white men, etc. You know, we're interchangeable to an extent. And but anyway, just to be a part of something that's special, and then when it's made, and then to see it, and then it really is even more special. So it's just.
May I say something? Because I stayed awake for a very long time. I saw the movie tonight with for the first time, you know, and it blew me away totally. Everybody is amazing. Every image, you can stop the movie at any point, and every one of 24 is a painting. It's pretty much amazing. And I was watching it with three friends. One is a stockbroker, but with a big heart. One is a painter, you know, and one was in jail for 2.5 years. Deep, honest, straight from the heart people, you know, and it just blew them away. And I was the only one talking because it was so much, and I tried to avoid being that much emotional because it was that much. So it was like, yeah, but you know that yeah, and you saw, and you know, I was the stupidest of them all. So you see the impact of a movie like that. It's amazing. And I'm not joking. I knew what could have been possible, and then you see the result, and it's more than what you could ever expect.
Great.
You could turn the volume off on the lines even and just play the soundtrack and watch this movie. You know,
As well.
You would watch this movie with no speaking. You know, without the volume, without the speaking.
You can watch the movie from the 20s, the 30s, the 50s, the 60s, the 80s, the 90s, and it has an impact in its totality.
Back to the question, if I may. I read the script and I realized that my character Z is really cruel and unlikable, and I was a bit puzzled. But then I called my mother-in-law, and she said, "You are perfectly unlikable."
What?
My mother-in-law told me I'm very unlikable, so I should take the role.
Oh, yeah.
May I share a secret? My mother said, like, Sam, do whatever you do in life, but do not embarrass me in playing roles like this. And that was my own mother, not my mother-in-law. Can I help you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the kind of same. I was really intrigued. Sorry, I just have to say, Chino, before we go on to questions, because I can't see you, Sam. Hi, Sam. I just watched your face, Chino, while Sam talked about that, and it was an absolute joy to see on your face hearing what you wanted with the film. So yeah, that was a beautiful thing to see. I just wanted to say, because I know how much of what you wanted to do with the film, and I know what your vision was, and it's just lovely to hear people getting it, you know. So my draw to the script, apart from on a whole being amazing, was this very unlikability of the characters, because for me it's like a real cautionary tale for where we are kind of heading with humanity, and it's like a step up from where we are now, when the niceties have gone, and like the way I discard like Aid's character, you know, when Sam comes back, there's no nicety about it. There's a lot of dislikable things in the characters, because it's like they've reached this mundanity of things, and nothing means anything, and everyone's like stagnant. And I just find that a really interesting thing to explore, because I felt it has so many resonant feelings to what's going on now. And although it's a kind of dystopian tale, it ain't far removed where we are from now, with people like Trump in power and Boris Johnson, and, you know, people lying like in front of us all and not caring that we know they're lying. There's this kind of lack of morality, and I just felt that Undergods kind of underscores, you know, in a very heightened, beautifully bleak visual way of where the hell we're kind of heading in a way, you know. And yes, so many things I liked about the script, so many things. But
you know why I
certainly something
understand you
that drew
there?
me.
You know why I understand you there? Because normally we should be standing together and smell our foul breath and the erotism of our armpits, you know? And all of a sudden we're like deprived of it. And then if we can do an extraordinary project like we did, and we see it now in nowadays world, we see that, and I had tears in my eyes, you know. I was just like,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
it's an honesty.
yeah. And it takes away those layers of what we kind of hold ourselves up to be civilized beings, you know. The civility is there, but there's beautiful moments. Anyway, I'll stop yapping, or I literally have to stop myself. I do go on, so just tell me to shut up anytime.
That was beautifully put.
But yeah, that's the kind of all those kind of things that drew me, and Chino as well, when I, you know, met him, and you know, he's sort of the way he explained things, and he's a wonder to work with. Just want to put that out as well, a real wonder to work with.
Does anyone else?
So that's my piece.
I think I totally join like what Kate and Ned and Sam already said. When the first thing you see is the scripts, and I thought, okay, I will read the script, and from the first second, you're drawn into the story, and not only plot wise or the atmosphere, but on the level of the dialogues. It is incredible, and that's when you come to the point, like Ned said, no matter what part you want to be a little part in the painting, if it's possible, because you immediately like all the lines of all the parts, because it is always a tension and even a humor underneath, and a danger, and then of course you see the second booklet with the work Chino already did, and you see the photography and think, whoa, this can be awesome. It will be an awesome project. And yeah, and then on the level of my little part, I'm a bit some kind of passerby. Yeah, this is quite fantastic.
I saw you now, and it's incredibly penetrating.
Oh, well, thank you.
Serious. You appear and you reappear, and it's a tale of beauty, because it's spot on right there, and the image supports you. The totality of what you read and never thought that would be the result supports you as well, and then you can shine. You know, it's like a beautiful song. You know, you can write a song and go like, "Hello, here I am today," and all of a sudden, with the same lyrics, you say, "Hello, here I am today," and it's a hit.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. That's of course afterwards when we see. I saw the movie 2 days ago, and it's everyone is so particular, so personal. How the approach of all the characters is and then you immediately when you read the lines, and then when you see the work Chino did, and then we met each other. I think we met each other twice. I think Sophie and Chino in London.
Yeah.
And then you immediately notice that there will be no way that the dialogues will be approached as you already know. Like, okay, we know often in more commercial things, it's we know some things, and directors will ask like, okay, here you can look a bit longer, and here it's a bit like we had the other day. We had also we had a conversation, and we were talking about cliches. Often you act from one cliche to another. And then and when it's tasteful and when you like each other, then it's, of course, it can vibrate, and then you have something. But this is another way. This is another perspective, another way of looking at the material, and then that's actually the way to get the most personal out of every character, and then after then you can't wait to start the shoot. So.
And I want to
That gives a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
The only reason this film is exactly the reason why I'm doing this job. Period.
Wow.
There is no reason to do this job if we don't have projects like this.
Yeah.
I mean, 80% of what we're doing, what I'm doing, is okay. It's just to make a living, actually, and 20% is interesting. But this is, I mean, exceptional.
Yes.
Can I tell you something? So let's work again together, with a good environment.
Yeah, let's make more. Yeah.
Right.
So we shifted from 20 to 80. We shifted, I studied economy. So we shifted a little bit, and then it's okay.
We'll do it soon. It's soon, UNDERGODS.
You've got to pitch up now. Okay.
Yeah. No, we're gonna just as we are all. We are just gonna send you backdrops and wardrobe, and then we'll do a next UNDERGODS sequel, and it will be just a multi-screen, and we are
Does anyone else from the cast want to speak to their experience?
Yeah, well, likewise, really. I mean, having been acting for, I don't know, about 30 years, really.
I see it at the doors on your left.
Sorry?
I see it at the doors on your left. They're 30 years old.
All right. And yeah, I think every so often, if you're lucky, a diamond lands in your lap in your career. We all have
vicious all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we all have to put bread on the table, but I think with this project, meeting Chino, I remember just having a very gentle meeting, and I felt like the space in this man, and which gave me space to relax, and space to be, and space to have what I felt was not just an interview, but just a conversation. And, auditions are funny things, aren't they? They kind of never quite get over that sort of, I want it. But for me, that's a great sign. That's a great sign that, I kind of want to hang out with this guy. So that's a great start. The script, I hadn't really read anything like that before. You don't know. You hope it can be great. You don't know, but it's exciting. It's not a police drama. It's not another kid's gone missing or another prostitute being murdered. It's an interesting, intriguing script full of possibilities that could go horrendously wrong. Who the hell knows? But it's something as an actor that you think, I want to take a risk on this. And also, I had to sing My Way in the audition, which, you know, that made a change from the usual auditions, and we had a good laugh about that. Yeah.
May I say something? It's 2:30 in the morning. I'm sitting on my toilet, private toilet in the bathroom, and I this is sincerely because I hear your sincerity. Sincerely, I thank you guys, you ladies, you men, your colleagues, you artists, so very much, because I was chicken scared, and even a comic strip wouldn't match it. So I thank you guys very, very, very much.
Bless you, Sam.
Well, you were wonderful, Sam.
Thank you. Great.
Let's move on to a question from one of our audience members. So Henry and Renee asked, were you influenced, Chino, by Hoffman's work regarding the combination of fantasy and the macabre? I'm not sure who Hoffman is. Do you know?
Yes.
Great.
Well, I guess, yeah, those, I read, yeah, I read a lot of more Hoffman, especially as a kid. Which is this sort of romantic German fantasy writer, and then I reviewed him a little bit more in my adult life, and especially the Sandman, which is actually quote, and Maria Hans' daughter reads it, and obviously there's the Sandman is the main work that Freud uses in his book about the uncanny. So there was something that I guess the fact that Freud used the Sandman, that tale, for as just to structure his book about the uncanny, which obviously this movie, there's a lot of uncanny stuff, and it's a book that some way it has some influence in this movie, and yeah, so yeah, definitely Hoffman is something that had an influence in especially in the story of Hans and Maria, but in general, as reading the uncanny by Freud gave all these other extra angles about what an uncanny thing is, and why this, and why Hoffman in a way was a writer who dealt with those issues very well. So I guess, yeah, I got there's nothing direct except of the actual text that we see on screen and someone reads. There's nothing direct from his writing that I put into the movie. There's more stuff from other writers or other films that influenced me directly for making UNDERGODS, but definitely on the very, very background, yeah, there was Hoffman was there, and he was there probably from the start, yeah.
Interesting. We have another question from the audience, from Lizzie. How did the director and cinematographer work together on this and find so many shades of blue? And I wonder, I think we could probably just expand this to a conversation about the kind of production design in general. Before the official Q&A started, we were having an interesting conversation about some of the buildings, some of the CGI, Tenet using some of the same space. Do you want to speak to the process a bit?
Yes, definitely that idea of it's a cold film. It's a winter tale, that's for sure. The UNDERGODS is definitely winter tale. We saw it in winter. We always wanted to show it in winter. We saw it in January, and we, like Sophie and me, we knew that it needed to be shot. Like, we could not shoot this movie in the summer. It wouldn't be the same. So just the fact that we saw it in winter obviously made it, there was those shades of blue. And on top of that, a lot of the scenes was sort of below zero because it was winter in Serbia, winter in Estonia. Some of the times that there was a lot of snow, and we managed to hide it somehow or paint it out in post or sometimes. But yeah, so starting with that, yes, then obviously, yeah, like, we always talk about these sort of shades of blue, and also on top of the cinematography, there's the job of the colorist, who we pushed a lot of the colors of the movie towards this blue blue tone. So yeah, definitely it's also in general a color that I like. I very rarely use red. I hardly ever shot anything with. I haven't shot many things with red. I haven't used any red, hardly any red clothes or red props in any of my work before.
Ochre was a lot.
But and blue is something I'm tend to be very drawn to it. So I think naturally my first movie ended up being very blue, and that's something that I discuss, well, both with David, the DOP, and Marqueta, the production designer, and Edward, the costume designer, who all did a fantastic job in the movie and bringing all of this to life. And
there are these very strong, interesting shades of like mustard, yellow, ochre, and like it's all gray blue concrete, but there are these yellow stripes, and then there's orange bits. There's tiny shades of color in with the gray, which makes it so beautiful. There's these little pastel bits. There is actually a red car creeps into one shot.
Yeah, slightly orange. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To be honest, when they brought the car, we needed a period car, and inside they brought the car. It was orange, orange car, and then it actually works really well, because what those other kind of tones do, as a bit with the characters, there's no so they prevent everything to be a monotone, and as the characters, they have all this flaws and all this, but there's these moments of tenderness, and there's these moments of humanity and of moments of empathy with all the characters. And I guess all of that is also reflected in the movie, with all these blues and occasionally these little splashes of warmer moments, colors, which also is reflected in the characters as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe it's instinct, which makes that you cannot avoid it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really distinct visual style. It's really nice.
Picasso liked blue as well. So.
Yeah, that maybe in my blue period. Maybe I'm.
Yeah.
This is the beginning, as it happened in the early stages of. So this is the early stages of my.
Directly start with the blue period.
The blue period. Then I'm gonna start deconstructing everything, and we may end up with broken faces and.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. We'll grow old.
So I have another question from the audience. Guillaume is asking, I'm curious about what made you choose to tell this story in an episodic fashion, and what were the challenges of doing so?
The challenges were many. I'll expand a little bit on that. But and I guess because it was my first movie, and I just wanted to put a lot of the different things that I've been interested in. I wanted to make a movie about, throughout all these years, making other type of work, like short form, but especially a lot of commercials, music videos. I had occasionally chances of developing things that were my own worlds. And there were things that I was interested in, and I wanted to expand, but I didn't. It was my first movie, and I didn't want to just make the movie about this sort of dystopian post-Soviet science fiction-y city, or this tower blocks, this sprawl or suburban sprawl, or this fairy tale Central European 70s Euro horror-y city. So because I wanted to work with all of these things, and I couldn't really choose one, it's like, okay, let's make a movie in which I can put all together, and which that's what we did. And then obviously I was also influenced by I grew up, I love Calypso, I love the Twilight Zone, the movie. I grew up with those movies. The movies are super important for me as when I was growing up. And as an adult, there was the metamorphosis by Ovid. Even Don Quixote has like moments where suddenly he's working with Sancho Panza, his sort of sidekick, and they bump into someone in a road, and this someone is like, I'm gonna tell you a story. And suddenly someone starts telling a story that has nothing to do with the main narrative of the movie. And sorry, for 100 pages, we are in the story that this guy is telling, and then the story finishes and we go back to the main characters and the novel carries on. And I was very interested in that sort of structure, and obviously I love anthology films because I grew up loving anthology films. So I wanted to, so it was a natural thing for me to end up using that type of structure, and also a perfect excuse to put all these different worlds that I wanted to incorporate in a single movie. Even though the one thing that I didn't want is to have episodes that will with hard cuts in between them, because I wanted to do a movie that felt that it was a single film, and also that the narrative will be like a single narrative, like a one journey rather than small journeys. And I think for me it was very important, the musicality of the structure of the film, and to make a movie that you'll be constantly non-stop things happening, and there'll be no hard cuts. There'll be, I don't know whether it's relentless the word, because there's some moments that are a bit more like slow and stuff, but something that there'll be just this one single journey from beginning to the end. And I guess those are in general the reasons why I created that structure. Yeah.
And the challenges of it?
Challenges were endless, because obviously, especially when you were shooting the last scene of one story, and then it's like, shit, I need to also because the problem is, like, we were shooting the movie, and every 10 days we will spend 10 days in a soundstage, like in a studio, everything was perfect, and we actually started the movie in an apartment, and there was all these characters in this apartment, and suddenly our life was, all the crew was living in this, we were all just in this apartment, just every day going to this apartment, working with these actors, and there was the look of the apartment, and then suddenly 10 days later the characters will fly back to their home countries, and we'll go into this industrial area of Belgrade in the cold, and suddenly Geza and Johann, who should have been here with us, but I think he's probably busy with something, but will come, and then our life for the next few days will be just in this industrial dilapidated section of Serbia with Johann and Geza, and in this factory, and suddenly these new guys will come, Eric and Tyke, and then we'll move into the center of Belgrade, the old town, because we wanted, so every 10 days we'll completely change of scenery, of actors, of mood, because it was very different to shoot the scenes with Kay and said, with these corpse collectors, with all this cold, with all this, the factory, there was even a dead person in somewhere, in like someone found a dead person in one of the locations when we were going to go, like some homeless person, something died in. So I think some productions, and so that was one of our realities, suddenly, like, oh, we're shooting in a factory where suddenly this abandoned factory where people squatting and people living, and there were strange things left or happening, and then I will go to this very comfortable soundstage where everything was safe and perfect, and there'll be like a perfect catering and heating, and so it was all, it was very strange. It was a slightly schizophrenic kind of existence of every 10 days changing scenery and actors, and obviously always when you were shooting the last few shots or the last shot of one story, like okay, I need to make sure that this kind of cuts well with the first shot of the next one, and I need to remember how this shot was, and so it was always yeah, it was challenging in those two ways. Yeah, definitely. But interesting.
Yeah, that's like a unique challenge. Can some of the cast speak to that process as well? I mean, so you're all in kind of your own isolated portion of the film. How was that? And as I understand it, this is also the first time many of you have even met. So what was it like kind of working on the small piece and then seeing the bigger picture?
It did mean you could throw away most of the script, so you could just tear out the pages and then throw the rest away. And then that was your bit. So yeah, it didn't matter. You know, you don't need to connect to Eric or anybody else or Kate, and
Yeah.
you know, so you're just in your own. That's your piece. So that's
yeah. I mean, just to say, this is the first time that we are all together. This is the first time that we have all see each other. This is the very first time. We've never. This is the first time that we are all not in the same room, because we are definitely not.
Yeah, I didn't even know Chino.
Yeah.
No.
And so yeah, it was weird because we didn't really. It's the first time that we all meet. Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's a pity that we cannot shake hands or have a drink or something together. But
yeah. That's right. So I only met two people. That's Ron and Ruth. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
There's a director there.
All you
in our bubble avant la lettre, actually.
What?
You were in our bubble avant la lettre. Do you say bubble? Because here it's an expression now in Belgium. We all have to be in our bubble.
I saw we were walking in bubbles.
Yeah.
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 We were.
It was. Oh, I was just going to say, it was very much like, you know, when we film, you know, and although you read the script, you know, of what happened, you were just immersed in your world. Although the character Sam coming from another world was quite a jolt, you weren't as that character, you know, you just didn't have anything to do with the other parts. So it was really great to see it as a whole. You know, on watching it after us only knowing our little section, and lovely to see everyone well, not in person, but almost in person here as well.
Yeah, and when your own little piece is over in the film, you can relax and watch everybody else.
I don't know how it was for you guys, but it was in a couple of days a lot. So you just like throw yourself in a black hole and depth without any protection, and you go like wow, I hope we all do the same, and then make the best out of it.
Yeah, that's it. And a lot of it's to do with trust in your director as well. And if you trust your director to, you know, piece the things together and have a vision and know what his through line is, then it means you can kind of give yourself up to script, and that's a really big thing for an actor, is how much trust you have with your director. So yeah, that's another thing. So
yeah, it's also quite. I have to say, when you read the script and you feel like, because we also had, of course, we had the chats with Chino and Sophie. Like, okay, it's some stories, and we will intertwine the stories and make one bow, one story. And when I saw now the movie, I thought this is really one story for me. The first thought when I read it, like, okay, you can, I imagine, I can understand why you say it's made as some kind of bubbles. Now it totally disappeared when I saw it. It's, for me, it's just actually, it's even the very strange worlds, like the total implosion of the city, and another city which is some kind of strange future. I had the vision of Clockwork Orange. When you see Clockwork Orange and you see the image they had of the future, you see it again now. So and it's one world. It's the front and the back, the flip side of the same world, and you don't see the bubbles anymore. For me, it works through all those. Yeah, they're fantastic.
Clockwork Orange is a good comparison, and I think Funny Games is what I think of with Harry, because people come into your house, they fuck your life up, and they're just like, and then they go, and then this is a lot. What's happening in this movie is like the men get, a visitor comes and bad shit happens, and that's what happens in Clockwork Orange. The Droogs come and they fuck your life up, and Funny Games is quite similar. There's no motivation other than just chaos for kicks,
Do you want to continue to kind of speak to this concept also of like the other, and this theme that's kind of running through, this fear of the other, and kind of how that's manifesting in our world?
Yes, well, definitely that was obviously, since there was this emphasis about the decline of the white male. Obviously, it was the other was the idea of the other was very present, and the idea of this other, this abstract other that is threatening, it threatens the stability of this already quite fragile kind of family units, and how all these men they sadly like see their lives being threatened, and by this other, this stranger that comes into the life, which I guess it's something that we're seeing very often now, and especially certain segments of society, they feel that all they want is just to build walls to prevent those others to. Now we are building a wall now in the UK on the 31st of December. We are just going to put a wall, and then sort of to prevent the others from the continent to come into our island or our country or whatever it is. And I guess in the US also they've been the problem of the US is such a long border that I don't think like Mr. Trump will be able to finish the whole wall, but yeah, there's definitely that idea of these men being threatened by this other, and this other coming into their life and destroying the already very fragile thing. And obviously in the movie, the other is nothing else but like almost like a projection of the fears of these guys, of these main characters, of Eric, of Adrian.
When you say fragile, it's like, it's not that they're just fragile. It's like they're washed out. They're washed out already. There's a dullness and a boredom. They're already worn out. I mean, Dominic is already. It's already shit. I mean, when the new visitor comes, we see Ruth and Ron. They're eating slop out of a carton. Their life is, it's not so much fragile as just washed up.
Yeah, and in a way, in this case also the other, and that's especially your case, the other also brings a little bit of excitement, like it's a bit of twisted excitement, but at least something happens. It's like, okay, well, at least there's something. Like my daily routine is being altered, and obviously it's been altered in this slightly odd way, but at least has been altered. At least something has happened.
Yes, like when Geza and Johann X and Y and K, when they meet Eric, they're quite happy as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Something happens.
It's absolutely hilarious.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Hilarious. I just find it so funny that there's so many parts of the movie. Just watching it again tonight just made me just laugh so much. We can sell the big one for meat. And there's so many lines. That dead people can get goosebumps. That's just
It's true, by the way.
Yeah, well, of course.
But that's what I read. That's
Research.
why I put it
Oh, it is true. It is true.
In research.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah,
well,
within a couple hours of their death, they can have goosebumps, not the day after.
Ah.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, I'm not dead, and I didn't cut my nails because nails grow when you're dead.
Thanks for that, Sam.
Right, thanks for that. I think I got goosebumps.
Can I also ask you a bit about the music? So, I mean, previous to this, you've made a lot of very successful music videos, so it makes sense naturally that you would have a lot of strong music cues in the film. Can you kind of talk about some of the selections in the score process?
Yeah, there was. I've been through the process of the making of the film, like around 3 or 4 years that took to write and to finance the movie. I was obviously working on other bits, and I started building a playlist of songs, of music that somehow they were reflecting the tone of that I wanted to convey with the film, and it was all mainly kind of electronic crowd rock music, like electronic German music from the late 70s and early 80s. That was the main reference and the main idea for like to build a score around, to get that tone, that music from that was made in Germany in the late 70s and early 80s. Then we found some even bits of library music from the period from other places in Europe, but it was definitely the idea of like something that is electronic, analog, late 70s, early 80s, and European. And that was, and with a special emphasis in Germany. I think Germany is where they mainly created all those sounds and all those. And so there was a lot of music from that period. That's what I used with the composer and the additional composer. Like we listened to those tracks, and we tried to build something on that with that vibe. And I think Wojciech, sorry, it's difficult to pronounce his name, but it's Wojciech. He did an amazing job, and also we have a second composer, Gerardo, which also follow those things that help us with our bits on the music, and also Jeremy Wormsley, who also did a fantastic tune, which is the one that is in the trailer. But they all listen to this music, and they all work with that in mind. And then on top of that, we end up approaching a couple of those bands that we were using as references, not knowing what we were going to find. And I remember, well, Sophie obviously knows more about that, but we had no clue, like what is going to happen, those bands, maybe this music is going to be. But I think because a lot of people, like they didn't remember, like people don't pay that much attention to them anymore, like those German bands, they were so pleased that people were interested in putting the movie, that in the music in the movie, that they were very helpful and letting us use the music and obviously and giving us a good rate. But yeah, it was definitely that's where the idea of the music came from. Then obviously there's other moments. There's this amazing track, but the Nathan Fake, The Sky Was Pink, that it plays in the when Adrian has Dominic has his breakdown, is a techno track that I absolutely love, and that I wrote the scene with that track in mind. but it's a more diegetic song. It's in the movie because one of the characters is actually listening to it, but also it's electronic. It's not an analog. It's from the 21st century, but yeah, it had the tone. So I guess there was a lot of work. Also, we have Sarah Bridge was our music supervisor. She did a lot of work finding the music, finding not only the tracks that we wanted, but also a lot of library music licenses. One of the main, the song that plays at the end, which is something, was very obscure that I found online. We didn't know, there was nowhere, there was not in Spotify. I only found this song on YouTube, and Sarah apparently ended up finding the only copy of that song was in a cellar in Paris in some record label, and there was a vinyl from the 80s, and somehow she managed to find it, and we licensed it. So yeah, that was and obviously our composers did an amazing, like Louwyck and the other two persons that also worked, but Louwyck was the main one. Louwyck, in fact, he comes from that background. We got him into this, we call him because he's someone whose music he's great at doing this analog sort of retro sort of synth soundtracks, and he absolutely nailed it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I could talk about...
Can we get the soundtrack?
Yeah.
It should be released. It's fantastic. I love it.
I
Seriously.
agree.
We just get your bit, Adrian. Just the Sid Vicious bit. That's it. Did it my way.
Well, the sound of the whole film is just wonderful.
It may happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Would be great.
Listen
Yeah.
out, please.
Stunning.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself.
Well, are you in a techno club, Sam? Where are you?
Yeah, I know. I'm in my bathroom, man. I'm serious. I'm in my bathroom. I'm not joking. Here, look at my bathroom. I'm not joking.
Just like the film.
It's just, it's a bit of fun.
I know it's very late for all of you, and we have been talking for a good 50 minutes. So I kind of, want to start wrapping up, but I'm just curious if anyone has any further thoughts or want to share any other fun stories from the production process.
Well, never.
Sorry, just to interrupt. Sophie Werner, who's the producer and is here. We've been in this for 7 years, every day, from Monday to Sunday, from morning to evening, and so I guess, I don't know if Sophie has something to say, but you've been in this for as long as I've been, and you've gone through the whole adventure of making this movie.
Yeah, Sophie, who was the best actor?
Sophie.
Was it me?
You know I am, Ned.
I can hear you.
Hey, Geza, right?
Who's the most polite actor on email?
I don't really know what I've got to add other than I love the film, and I'm super happy that we're at Fantasia with it. Who was the best actor? I mean, I just think
Was it me?
Yeah, I
No,
just
you
think
don't have to say. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Geza before she said.
No,
I
don't.
think film, and I think it's really bold of people to have got behind us on it. Actually, I think it's not often that you see cinema like this anymore, or not often that you see films like this, and I think they're really bold, and I just think it's good that, hopefully we get the cinemas back, but, it's good that cinemas can be a forum for that, rather than sort of straight dramas, or it's just straight genre or straight dramas. This kind of sits in the middle. So I just think long may it continue that people do continue to finance films like this. They're incredibly difficult to finance and incredibly difficult to get off the ground. I don't think I quite imagined how hard it was going to be to get it off the ground, even after financing it. It's a hard thing because people don't know how to box it, I think.
Well, you managed to finance it. So if there's someone who can finance a movie like this, it's you, because you've done it.
Can I just say that having been involved in a few short films, just getting a 15-minute film off the ground is like pushing treacle up a mountain.
Yeah,
and I just have to say, Sophie and Chino, so much love has to go into actually making something like this happen, because before you even get to the juicy bit, which is what we all love doing, there's so much stuff around it. I don't even know how you have the energy for it, seriously. But I'm so glad that people are doing this, because otherwise it just gets homogenized out. But I have faith that people who love art in whatever form will always have to create. They have to, because that's what makes them live. But I just want to say thanks for this kind of perseverance, because it's so important that this kind of thing is happening.
Yeah, no, Sophie did it. Sophie was she read the script, and then suddenly she said, "Yes, I want to be part of this." I'm like, what? Are you? I didn't say, "Are you serious?" But I thought, "Are you serious?" And that was when 6-7 years ago, and she turn a PDF or a piece of paper into what you just finished, like you just watched. So that was amazing. Not only that she believed in it, but that she found the way of making it and the money to making it, and she got involved like this, the hundreds of people that have been and coordinated them all, and now we're here. So it felt at many stages that this film will be impossible to get off the ground because it was too ambitious. It was because it was difficult. It was different. And at the end, Sophie managed to bypass all these things, and we're here. We've made it, and it's so. So I don't know if there's other producers out there that who could have done something like that, or that could have put the amount of work that was needed to make this a reality. But definitely Sophie did. I've never met a producer who was able to.
May I add something to it, please? Like Sophie, of course. Thank you so very much, Sophie. Thank you so very much, Chino. Yeah. There is a thing which is the following. You are born and you never know when you die. The difference in between the fact of knowing when you're born and not knowing when you die is your individual choice. And if you do achieve the liberty of choice, it's not that hard. The system tries to make it hard, but the individual being convinced is a lot less hard. You know what I mean? Like Gandhi came from Oxford, was a lawyer in South Africa, maltreated, and then he said, like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to India and I'm gonna do something over there. Because he said, that's what I'm gonna do. And it happened.
Yeah, it's the will and the perseverance, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, Chino, can you turn Brexit around for us, please?
Yes. I actually became, I was Spanish, just a Spanish citizen when I began this project. and now I'm also British citizen. I couldn't vote with the Brexit vote because I was not yet. So if there's a second round, I'll be able to vote. And I don't know, maybe I qualify. I don't know if once you have a passport, you can immediately run for Prime Minister, but...
Oh, yeah, please do. Anyone, anyone at all.
I like the idea of ending this on the message that we should all be voting. And I know none of you are in the US, but everyone in the US needs to vote. But I appreciate this so much. Thank you all so much. And congratulations on a tremendous world premiere and a tremendous film. It's very nice to meet you all. Are you guys familiar with the Discord chat that's going on? So fans at the festival can chat on Discord. And if any of you want to stay up, you can join that chat and answer a few more questions they might have. But I also know it's like 3 a.m. for most of you, so no pressure.
Could you upload the link?
How do you join the chat?
I'm a dinosaur.
I'll make sure that you guys get the link. I'll send it.
Oh, you send the link, okay.
To Sophie, yeah.
Yeah. 10 years in the making, but it will live forever. Forever.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Logan, thank you so much. And just one more thing for us, Sophie and Chino, that I think we all believe that this is a masterpiece, and we are not sure what is the future of this movie. But if we can do anything to get the word out, then please stay in touch so that we can do whatever.
Yeah.
And thanks to all of you guys, actors, for be part of this and be such a awesome actors.
Absolute pleasure.
That's a great job.
Yeah, such a pleasure.
Everybody's welcome in my bathroom.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
I've got spare.
Thank you.
Spare.
Thank you all.
See you guys.
Bye bye.
Love you guys.